Welcome to TSTV, a podcast where I, Sadie, guide my friend Lily through the wild world of Twin Peaks. Today we're talking about Twin Peaks Episode 2, Zen, or The Skill to Catch a Killer. Lily, how's it going? What you sipping?
What am I sipping, eh? I have two beautiful water bottles right next to me. One is green and one is pink, and they're the same otherwise, and I'm kind of alternating between them because the water tastes a little different between them. I had a wonderful iced coffee this morning. It was with a vanilla protein milk because Vic's big into protein at the moment, and that was just delicious.
This is, like, I know we said we would just start with what are we sipping as a homage to Twin Peaks, starting every scene with their discussion of coffee. But I think detailing your two separate water bottles this feels very, like, on brand for what we're trying to do here. Is there any difference in the water, or do they just taste different spiritually?
One is slightly older, so the quality of the plastic is maybe a little worse. So it's like the mouth feel, you know? I'm going to text you a picture.
Oh my God. You're getting...
And just know that the thermos in the middle, it's just standing there.
It's decorative, I see.
And how about you? What's in your mouth today?
I have a big mug of smoothie made once again by my friend and neighbor across the hall. I forget if I talked about that on the previous episodes, but
I think so.
I have a friend who lives across the hall and makes a smoothie for me, which is great. But, like, made a genuinely massive amount of smoothie. I have, like, a fucking, like, tankard of ale of smoothie. And then a big mason jar of water to go with it. You get the smoothie goodness, and then that's all in my mouth, and then you get the water to get me ready to speak. This is the multi-bev solutions once again.
This is the strat. Yeah, there's nothing quite like washing out a kind of thick drink with a nice gulp of water.
A water, one of the finest drinks around.
And cold.
You really got... Okay, so what's been up with you the past couple weeks? What have you been up to?
What's been up with me, eh? Well, as you know, I've been researching this weirdo tech guy pretty exhaustively, Brian Johnson. And I feel like I'm okay to talk about it here because I'm sure the video will be out by the time this episode is out.
Yeah, one presumes.
So I'm learning about the Mormon Church this week, which has been riveting. They got some weird shit going on there, man. No offense to our, I'm sure, dozens of Mormon listeners. Otherwise,
I mean, we did another thing together.
We did. You wanna talk about it?
Yeah, we saw that TV glow.
We saw the TV glow, and we have not said a word to each other about it yet.
No, and we won't, because I think we'll record an episode for it that'll be a little bonus episode, which may be out by the time this episode is or not. Who could say? But give us some money on Patreon, and you'll hear us talk about seeing the TV glow.
Do it, baby.
After its theatrical release.
I loved it. I loved the movie. That's all I'll say for now.
Yeah.
How about you, Sadie? What's new?
Man, I'll tell you what, I've been playing a lot of fucking Elden Ring.
Hell yeah.
Something else that will be presumably sorely outdated by the time this episode is out, but the DLC has released, and I've been fucking gaming.
Hell yeah. How does it compare to the base game?
It's very fun. I'm not sure how much to, like, get into gamer detail on our Twin Peaks podcast, but, like, it's great, really interesting narrative beats. And listen, there's nothing better than hitting dodge roll and then punishing with a heavy attack. That's video games, baby.
Oh, fuck yeah. Man, this is making me think we should get these episodes out sooner.
Well, listen. Well, go ahead.
Wait, no, now I'm listening.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. Just, like, listen, people can hear me talk about Elden Ring and just think about how good Elden Ring is on their own time.
That's true. It's got legs.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we get into Twin Peaks?
Let's get into the episode.
Okay, so let's start again with our Log Lady intro.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull it up here. And we begin. She tells us sometimes ideas like men jump up and say hello.
Sometimes ideas, like men, jump up and say, hello. They introduce themselves, these ideas, with words. Are they words? These ideas speak so strangely. All that we see in this world is based on someone's ideas. Some ideas are destructive, some are constructive. Some ideas can arrive in the form of a dream. I can say it again. Some ideas arrive in the form of a dream.
Before we say anything analytical, I just noticed she's wearing 2 rings. Like, she's wearing like a pinky ring and a... Oh, she's wearing 3 rings. She has a ring on each of her ring fingers, as if a wedding band, but 2 of them, and then also a pinky ring. Isn't that... That's such a funny little detail. Are you seeing this?
Wow. That's an interesting character detail.
Yeah, Margaret Lanterman with the fucking pinky ring.
The first thing, I don't know, this is maybe nothing, but what it evokes in me, she looks very like folksy, right? And the way she's holding the log reminds me of an auto harp, which is an instrument that I grew up playing. And auto harp players will sometimes have like finger picks on each of their fingers, so they're just like totally blinged out. I doubt that has any connection, but...
Sorry, wait, you grew up playing the auto harp?
Yeah, well, there was just one around, and like I was never one for music lessons, but any instrument that was around, I'd pick it up. I love the auto harp. I got pretty good at it.
Huh, that's funky. So, okay, there are a couple things that jump out at me here. I know, like, one, this feels very, hello, it's time for metafiction. All that we see in this world is based on someone's ideas. Even like the way that she says, like, sometimes ideas jump up and say hello, like men, is very funny.
Like men.
But this reminds me of like the clips of how David Lynch talks about his idea process. I forget if I've like shared any of these with you, Lily, but I know he like talks a lot about like, because again, he's big on his transcendental meditation. He's big on like just letting his subconscious drift. And I know there's a particular like supercut of all the times in interviews he's talked about this, where he's saying like, you have to, your mind is like a deep ocean and the big ideas are deep down like a big fish. I think he wrote a book or something called Catching the Big Fish about like this transcendental meditation practice. It's like, you got to let them drift up. But the reason why I always think about this, I'll put this in the show notes or something. Many times in interviews he's talked about this, and he's be like, and you have to carry, oh wow, this is the debut of Sadie's David Lynch impression on the cast, but
lucky us.
Yeah, you have to carry a pen and paper around at all times, because if you find a big idea, you have to write it down, because if you have a great idea and you forget it, you're liable to want to kill yourself. There's this like amazing YouTube video of like 5 or 6 interviews of him saying this, of just like, when you forget a great idea, it makes you want to kill yourself. It's so funny.
This is his like, there could be 100 people in the room.
Yeah. It's so good.
I love it.
But yeah, no, so this feels very like David Lynch speaking through the log lady about ideas, and like, I don't know, there's something that that's saying like it is true that everything that we see in the world of Twin Peaks is based on someone's ideas. Also, her repeating at the end, like, I can say it again, some ideas arrive in the form of a dream, is very...
What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. There's she certainly like goes out of her way to be like, say it again. I don't know. Does anything else like strike you about this, or do you have any thoughts?
It is an interesting thing to repeat because there is an extremely literal interpretation, right? Like, there are dreams that matter plot-wise in this episode. Her calling attention to it twice feels like I'm meant to read something deeper. Well, maybe it's what you're saying here about like, yeah, the whole show is the result of dreams, or is itself a dream. The thing that stuck out to me most there is she describes what was it? Ideas pop up like men and say hello.
Mm-hmm.
But like the tone that she said hello, it's like a question. It was like very uncertain.
Yeah, no, it's very fun. Okay, so let's jump into the episode. Episode 2. Directed once again by David Lynch, we go on a journey into the world of dreams and intuition. With the help of his colleague Albert and the power of throwing rocks, Dale makes some stunning advances in the case. Meanwhile, Ben Horne is goofy but still a dipshit. The Bozo boys get a scare from Leo. Josie does some snooping into the ledgers, and Nadine scores huge on her drape runners. Do you have any big thoughts before we jump in scene by scene?
Well, it appears this is the episode where the show really takes off, eh? And right at the end. This is the episode where I'm coming to understand, oh yeah, this is what everyone says about Twin Peaks. This is like where all of the sort of aesthetic and experimental things that I hear about come in. So I'm glad for that. Not that I had been missing it before, but I'm curious how the freakishness will be synthesized with all the cute small town stuff going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get more into it in depth when we get there, but like the last scene, the dream sequence is very much like, I feel like when people say Twin Peaks, they think of like that room and the guy dancing, you know?
Totally. Yeah. That is sort of all I knew about the show before you had me watch the pilot a year or so back.
So actually jumping in, our first scene is speaking of Ben Horne being a goofy dipshit. So we have the Horne family dinner. It is miserable. They're just sitting there. They keep us there for like, I think 15 or 20 seconds, like while the credits roll. And in comes cousin Jer, or brother Jer.
Uncle Jer.
Uncle Jer. Who is announced by some fucking goofy music. I really laughed. Okay, wait. So actually, there are a couple things here. First off, last time we were like, why do Catherine and Pete and Josie just live together? Which I guess if you're in the country and you have like a big ass lodge house, like it kind of makes sense. But like the Horns just live in their own hotel is kind of crazy to me. Like, I know that they own and operate it, but they also just it seems like they just have their private like estate in there. I don't know. It's really giving like the teacher lives at school, that they just like have a wing of the hotel or whatever. That's just where they live, which is so silly.
Oh, Sadie. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned this is in the hotel, because honestly, when Jerry comes in with his 5 like bellhops, I was
so
just like,
funny.
oh, I guess Jerry is the one who has 5 bellhops. I don't know. I'm not setting any expectations in this show yet. It didn't even occur to me that they were in the hotel.
I think so, because it's the same design and everything.
They must be. It must be.
It's one of the things that I made a note of. Is definitely like all over the Great Northern. There are all these like West Coast indigenous designs. I think there is one in the dining hall where they're eating, and there's like all these things that are definitely. It's again one of those things. It's like Twin Peaks. What exactly are you doing by having that here? And you know, I think there's a read that this is, you know, the Horns are kind of like, you know, leaning into this exploitatively, but I don't feel like the show really has, you know, David Lynch in Twin Peaks, and like Twin Peaks as a show is kind of very happy to just kind of deploy images of indigeneity in ways that are a bit suspect, like definitely very, I think, cheap and thoughtless, you know?
Huh. I mean, it does seem like something that a white hotel manager on the West Coast would have in their hotel, you know?
I'm also just thinking about, I know like later on, I'll make a note of it when we get there, but like there's a bit where Dale is on the phone with Deputy Hawk. And he's like, oh, you know, how's Renette? And Hawk is like, oh, the body and spirit are still far apart. And it's like, okay, buddy. You are writing our indigenous character here. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's certainly going to be more of that to come, and that is part of why I made a note of that. But so Jerry barges in. My first note was just like, I've written down, like, why does he want, he's saying, like, don't bring the baggage to my room. Like, why does he want the baggage into the dining room? But of course, then he says, I got a sandwich in there and I want all those bags open. We're looking till we find it, which is crazy.
He's fucking serious about the sandwich. And there are like 4 of the sandwiches or something.
Well, yeah, and he's like, I don't know, just like one, why are you storing a sandwich? And also, okay, wait, brie and butter? Why are you storing brie and butter sandwiches in your suitcase? Did you fly here from Paris with them in your suitcase? It's every part of it is crazy. That's going to be so warm. And then just like, yeah, how are we, guys, you have to search for them. Like, are is just in with his clothes. I know I'm just digging into this line, but it's just like so funny to me.
No, it's super funny. They're enormous sandwiches, and when they find them, well, because he's interrupting the family dinner, right?
Yes.
Sylvia is not thrilled about this. She's a little offended.
Well, and also because he just instantly hits on her.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And like she reacts like, Ben, like, can't you get your brother? Like, is he always doing this? I don't know. There's a lot happening.
I mean, wouldn't be surprised if he's something of a creep.
Yes.
But Jerry is also charming, I have to say. He's got a real like Cooper thing going on in that he stumbles into this very dour, serious scene, and he's like, well, I just came back from Paris and you gotta try this sandwich. And then he gives his brother a sandwich, and Ben enters Jerry mode. He gets so goofy. He's like devouring it like a 50s cartoon character would eat a sandwich, like from the side.
It's crazy. And also they're like, oh, this is so good. And I'm like, this is okay. First of all, this is some attention Quebecois moment. That is such an American looking baguette that they have. Like, it's not baguette bread. It's, you know what I mean?
No, you're right. It's from the grocery store.
Yeah, like it's like you can tell that it's just like normal bread texture in the shape of a baguette, which is very, very funny. And it's just like
bullshit hacks.
He's losing their mind over just brie and butter. Like he said, he's eating 4 of these a day. It's
that's criminal.
It's insane.
You know what? I do actually believe that would be delicious, because if you get a good bread, a good butter, and a good ham, that sounds fucking great. That does sound like I would.
Wait, it's brie. It's just cheese.
Yeah, but it could be a really good cheese.
Sure. But like, I mean, I'm sure it would be good, but I feel like just butter and cheese is like they're just losing their mind. And it's been on a suitcase. It's been in a suitcase here from Paris. It's just so funny.
That's my main concern. Yeah.
They are okay. Also, I only realized this at the end of the scene, but they really are just called fucking Ben and Jerry, which I feel like has got to be intentional.
Oh my god. That's giving. Do you remember the play director at our high school, Mr. Flowen?
Yeah.
He would like every play, because this man, for our listeners, would write a new play many years and have the theater club put it on, and there would always be just like the 2 youngest kids. The comic relief would be named like Pip and Squeak, you know, and they would just show up for their little scenes that have nothing to do with the rest of the plot, like a little hijink, and that's what it's giving.
This is so funny. This is a real fucking the fucking our high school deep cuts just keep flowing. There's the Patisserie de la Gare Novus. So they're here. They go crazy on the sandwiches, and then, you know, they go out back, and Ben tells Jerry Leland's daughter has been murdered and the Norwegians left. And of course, Jerry's first question, did they sign? And which, yeah, is grim. I also I did really laugh at Ben saying, we're not 100% sure they took their translator with them. It's like they've been calling the Norwegians, but just are not understanding them is so funny.
That's really fucking funny. Also, the line, we had those Vikings by the horns.
Oh, the horns. Oh my god.
Yeah, like the horns on their their Viking helmets.
I mean it like it is, like it sounds. No, but also Ben Horne.
Oh. Maybe.
Makes you think. My next note is just that Jerry is so short. Like, next to him especially, it's so funny.
He's giving child actor playing grown up or grown up actor playing child.
So
I don't know if
funny.
he's too young or too old for this role.
I mean, dare I say it? A bit of T-boy swag upon him. Let's see what they're saying there. They are saying we're gonna go to One-Eyed Jack's. There's a new girl, which Ben says is freshly scented from the perfume counter, which I did shout out last episode. That was where Renette said that she worked.
Mm-hmm.
They go down to One-Eyed Jack's in their fucking speedboat. I don't know. Wanna tell us about One-Eyed Jack's? I'm kind of segueing these scenes together here, but
Sure.
it's kind of a crazy place.
So I thought One-Eyed Jack's was a casino, but then all the stuff we see is like brothel-y, right? So we see the two bros.
I think they do
B and
say
J.
like there's a casino also.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because when they show up, Jerry's like, "We're not going to the good casino, right?" And Ben's like, I didn't come here to lose my shirt, just to take it off." So I guess it's just a downstairs there's a casino, upstairs is a brothel type situation. It's very, again, in the way that, like, I feel like last episode, the Roadhouse was kind of serving the role of like every role that a fictional bar could play. It feels like there is like, this is just kind of like the like general den of debauchery like rolled into one.
Yeah, totally. So dudes head in, they sit for a drink at the bar. They ask for, I don't remember exactly what drink it was, but it was like, I'll have one rum and coke and one rum and coke.
Mm-hmm.
Some ladies come out from behind a curtain and they're all dressed bizarrely. They're very costumed.
Yeah.
Like almost like a Santa Claus's sexy elf getup is the only way I know how to describe it.
But like casino themed, like they're in lingerie, but do you notice that there's like they have like a miniature card like dangling from the bracelet, and the brassiere has like a bunch of cards in it.
Oh my god, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's really like, all right, here's your fucking like brothel uniform. It's casino themed is crazy.
Fucking weird. The way that they enter and then like stand sort of to, I guess, present themselves to the brothers is like very stagey.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, oh, this is a show. This is like a theater performance or whatever. Because I didn't know where we were. I didn't understand what was happening. So that's how I took it. Except that they're not on a stage, you know, they're just on the ground level and they're all looking at the guys. So it feels like the guys are actually the show. I don't know. So Ben Horne, Audrey's father, of course, goes off with one of these women who really looks like Laura Palmer.
Oh, that's true. I didn't really make as much of a note of that, but yeah.
And she's one of very few like blonde characters we've seen, and she has this like hard to pin down sort of slightly distressed look on her face.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, because before that, it's like, it is, again, the scene is being played for like a certain levity. It is kind of over the top. We meet Blackie, right, who's kind of the mistress of the place. Yeah, the madam. And I made a note of Ben is really getting the whole fucking shall I compare thee to a summer's day sonnet out. He's just really going for it. And I like the vibe is that they like own the place or have some stake in it. I genuinely don't remember what it is, but like the way that it's like, oh, the Horns are here, like they call up and like present all the girls. It has the vibe in a very unpleasant way of like the boss is here, you know?
Definitely. That hadn't occurred to me. Definitely they were being treated specially in some way, whether it's like the guests of honor or just like
whichever it is. But I definitely like the way that it turns when he goes to inspect the new girl. The tone goes from like kind of over the top, and again, like when we first meet Jerry, he's a creep, but they are being kind of charming, the boys, with their fucking sandwich shenanigans and everything. And then it is like, oh no, this is not fun. This is not great, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Felt bad.
Yeah. So I think there was a bit woven into that, but next up, we have Donna and James, kind of continuation from, I think, their dinner from last time. The parents leave them alone. I've noted it was very funny that, like, everyone's going to church, which it just, I think, kind of struck me. But yeah, so Donna's
9 a.m. sharp.
I know, right? They're waking up early, and Donna and James kind of confess or construct their love to each other while this like piano only rendition of Laura's theme plays. Yeah, I don't know. What did you think about this scene?
Once they're left alone, it feels like they are really looking for something in their past relationship that wasn't there, you know? They're talking about how, well, James, like, you know, always had feelings for her, and Donna, like, always had feelings for him, but she just wouldn't let herself feel them. And that was sad. I felt like they were just trying to, like, retroactively make this sort of true and make, like, this the love story that was there the whole time. Personally, I don't buy it. I don't remember how they were interacting in the first episode, but like, oh, I guess they did kiss at the end.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
that was kind of what set this off. But I mean, you know, this was like exactly the note that I had also, because was it James is like, yeah, one time we looked at each other in the hall and we were alone and I almost told you I loved you. And I'm like, yeah, that when you looked at each other in the hall, that's when you were like, it really does feel like they are both inventing this with each other and like agreeing to implant this into the past.
Absolutely. I think they just want like the situation they're in to make sense. Right? They want this to feel right in some way.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. It's rough. And we end that scene with them kissing and Donna asking like, are we going to be together, James? Are we? And the kind of question left open. Very
Indeed.
soap opera stuff. Next up, it's Dale time. I really love this little moment of he just walks into his room with his little whistle that we've seen him whittling the past couple episodes, and he just gives it a toot toot.
Yeah.
And then the phone rings immediately. And this is when we get Hawk, who said that Renette was working at Horne's department store, which, again, very pointed connection there. And this is when we get the body and spirit are still far apart, which I don't know about that. And right after that phone call, he slipped a letter under the door, which is scented, ? Based on how he sniffs it. That just says Jack with one eye.
Real quick. So first of all, we will soon be seeing Cooper trying to figure out who the J in Laura's diary was, and Jack with one eye is a J. Although I think they actually address that and like cross it off the list pretty quickly because it's a location.
Which I feel like, honestly, why? Just leave it.
It's true, right?
Anyway.
Nervous to meet Jay. I mean, you could be meeting at with the business for sure. The scented thing was oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, speaking of one-eyed Jacks, I think my favorite thing about it, I think they say this later on, but that it's like across the border in Canada is like, I think we mentioned it last episode, but the show has like a very, very funny idea or funny relationship with like the idea of Canada, I think.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, you go across the border and you're in the lawless domain of British Columbia where anything can happen. It's just like, it's very, very funny to me.
That's true.
But sorry, what were you going to say about the letter?
Oh yeah, the scented thing. That was very conspicuous. There are, by my count, at least 3 mentions of like perfume in this episode, between Ronette and the new girl at Jack.
True.
Presumably this is from her, considering she is freshly scented. But I don't think they saw her when they were at the casino / brothel, because there was no mention of actually.
No, that was the new girl who Ben went with. That's what they were going, was to like experience the new girl.
Oh, word. Okay, my bad. So I'm hoping and expecting we'll be seeing more from her.
Well, anyway, I think that's all in that. It's a little short scene. Ayla, listen, do you want to tell us about the Bozo Boys' horrible adventure?
Oh yeah, so they were our Bozo boys, Bobby and Mike. One of whom is Snake, I think.
Mike,
I don't.
Mike is Snake.
Mike is Snake. Bobby and Snake head out to the woods in the middle of the night to pull some coke out of a football that is cut open and hidden under a tree. Mike, I'm just going to keep calling him Snake. Snake's like, let's find this stupid football. He's mad at the football. Unclear why.
It's because football is what's taking, Bobby from him, the star quarterback.
Their flashlight did not help them realize that Leo, big bad man, was also in the woods, kind of waiting on them. Leo is waiting on $10,000 from these guys because, okay, let me see if I can wrap my head around this. Leo, Bobby, Mike, and Laura were all involved in some sort of cocaine deal.
I think it's that Leo was selling to them.
Okay.
And then that, they have not sufficiently paid him for presumably the last load of cocaine that he gave them.
Yes. So the money is in Laura's safety deposit box, and they can't access it. Leo is very displeased about this. Also displeased because his girlfriend is cheating on him, or wife, I don't know. And unclear whether he realizes that it is in fact Snake who is.
No, it's Bobby.
It's Bobby?
Yeah, remember we saw Bobby with Shelly.
Sorry, I thought Bobby was Mike / Snake. This is too much, man.
Listen, there's a lot of characters. No, Bobby Briggs is our rude boy, and Snake is the sidekick.
Ah, shit. Okay. I hope I get that down. I need to print myself a little poster with their names on it, I think, for these episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, Bobby. Bobby is the other man. Leo may or may not realize this. He's threatening them. He's really pissed off. He has a rifle, and he tells them to go out for a pass, meaning run away football style.
Yeah, that is the term, runaway football style.
He goes run, 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 run. And they do, and they're terrified, bad vibes. And they leave with a little bit of coke and the cut open football on their dash.
Which I guess he fucking made the pass to their car, which is kind of crazy. There's honestly a lot of little funny details in this scene. I actually really like the little flashlight effect at the beginning as they're walking through the woods and we just see the beam of the flashlight and their black silhouettes.
Yeah, it's very physical.
Leo revealing himself, I forget what his line was, but as he shines the flashlight up on him is so funny. He really was sat there ready for to fucking get these guys by shining the flashlight on himself.
He has a lot of fun with the flashlight.
Yeah, and there's a mysterious masked figure watching.
Julio says just don't worry about him or something.
Yeah, so I guess he's with Leo. I also really laughed when Leo was saying I need money. He's like, Leo needs a new pair of shoes, and he shines his flashlight down at his shoes,
because he means it literally.
Well, yeah, no, but also I love while you're intimidating someone, being yeah, look at how shitty my shoes are.
I love how he takes a lot of things literally, I think, because next up he says Laura was a wild girl. And Bobby says, oh, tell me about it. And Leo gets quiet and he goes, maybe, someday.
Yeah, but which is kind of, that feels serious, That also, as well as shenanigans with Bobby, Leo knows something about what some of the wild shit that Laura was involved in.
Indeed.
I think also, like, similarly, the exchange of, like, you know, I think Bobby's like, oh, you know, we had a problem. And Leo's like, oh, you want to know about problems? Bobby's just like, okay. And then he starts talking about how his wife is cheating on him, which, so, you know, this is, I think, obviously just to give, like, tension to the scene of, like, does he know that it's Bobby? Bobby's being like, yeah, but who is it? You know, He might be trying to suss him out, but, like, gauge his reaction. But I also just really like the idea of, again, of showing up to intimidate these teenagers and then being like, yeah, well, my wife is cheating on me.
And my shoes suck. My life fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, but he's got a good fucking football arm because he nails the toss directly onto the hood of their car, which is very silly.
Not for nothing.
So yeah, that's all there. Do you have any thoughts, or shall we move on?
Final thought is Leo's really having fun with the flashlight. There's a moment where he has it pointed on something else, and then just because he wants to emphasize his reaction to the boys, he points it back at himself to, like, laugh.
So funny. Yeah, he's got a real sense of the theatrical.
Yeah, like he's taking the mic back. I love it.
Next up, a brief sequence of Ed fucking clambering into his home, like, straight out of the Black Lagoon, fucking coated in grime. And he steps on the drape runners. I really do stan Nadine. I love her. Like, I was working all night on that invention. It is kind of giving, like, a kid being like, I'm making a potion, you know? Like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
She's so mad about it that she bends her exercise machine. She's fucking, this is our like, traits that we know about Nadine. 1, nag. 2, drape runners. 3, strong.
She's like at 11 all the time. All of these things, she goes so hard on everything.
Yeah, I really love her. And so I think this is like another scene later, but following this, we see Ed goes to the Double R Diner to talk to Norma about how he's in the doghouse again, and they have some flirting about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, next up is our kind of big scene. Cooper's innovative new detective technique. So we start off, he's like telling Lucy to set up a bottle, and it was like exactly 60 feet and 6 inches away. I love, like, just thinking about how, like, they're in like a park or something, and they must have just brought all of, like, these props out. They brought the table for all the donuts, and, like, also the, like, chalkboard. They just, like, carried this out here is so funny. So they have, like, a bunch of J names, and okay, the very first thing in the episode is such a good, I think this was like when I was first watching Twin Peaks, I like clipped this because it's just so funny. Do you want to tell us about our first little moment here?
Oh, you know I do. So our Queen Lucy is holding the little carafe of coffee, and she goes, anyone want to warm up? And we just get like an outpouring of yes, yeah,
yeah.
bet.
Everyone is so excited for the coffee.
They're psyched. They already have coffee too. It's just like a little top up.
It's so funny. Like, it is truly like, in this show, if you say the word coffee, it is just like hitting a button that makes all the characters go, yeah, I would like coffee.
Man, I'm actually eyeing some coffee from across the room that I made this morning.
Oh my god.
That looks good. Okay, so sorry. I think you hit the coffee button. Dale takes a sip and he spits it out, and he says something akin to damn good coffee and hot.
It's so funny. Like, the moment of him spitting it out, and I'm like, how did he not like it? But just no, that's damn good coffee. And hot.
He's just shocked by how good it is.
So funny. So he, sits them down to explain his technique. I really love, it's a great punchline of like having her write all these J names, and then first thing he does is flip the chalkboard over to show on the other side a map of Tibet, which I guess he like had put there in preparation for this.
Yeah, I guess he taped it up.
My note here is just Dale Cooper on his Orientalist shit. No wonder they put him in Dune. Because you know that Kyle MacLachlan played fucking Mr. Dune in the
Oh, I
David Lynch
do.
Dune. Yeah.
Yeah, he played the sand in Dune. I have a note on this too, which is just his like storytelling structure here. He goes, before I can tell you, this is not a quote, but basically he's going like, before I can tell you about this murder, I have to get into the history of Tibet. And my note is just like, ugh, video essayist.
God, Dale does kind of have video essayist energy.
Yeah, for better and worse.
Yeah.
And yeah, his whole bit about Tibet and the bravery of the Tibetan people. Nothing against the Tibetan people, of course, but like his calling Tibet a country is like so 90s.
Yeah, the dastardly communist China has gotten in there. It is definitely, yeah, it's very 90s. It's very like David Lynch leaking in, because as we've said, like David Lynch is huge on transcendentalist meditation. I don't know specifically if he like, but this, I would not be surprised if this is a speech that, like, akin to speeches that David Lynch has personally given. But yeah, he had a dream years ago that revealed to him the plight of Tibet. He feels very closely linked to it, and also a investigative technique that combines deduction and the deepest levels of intuition. It's so silly. I love, like, throughout all this, like, Lucy is getting so, like, more and more excited about it.
Yeah, she totally buys all of it.
So, yeah, he is going to reveal his intuitive technique, in which he has... everyone has a little job. I think Andy's going to go and stand by the bottle to replace it. Lucy is making a check mark next to a name if he strikes the bottle. And I think Truman is listing off names to him one by one, all the J names, as he throws rocks. And I really like he has like Hawk hold the bucket of rocks to give him. I love that he tells him to hold it with like oven mitts on. So like, I don't know, not.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Is this, to not like psychically influence the rocks or something is very silly.
Yeah, to insulate the energy.
Yeah. They go through a bunch of J names, and eventually I think he hits it on what is the first one? Yeah, so he hits it actually first on Dr. Lawrence Jacoby,
who we don't see in this episode, actually.
It's true. And I love Lucy's like, you did it, you hit it. Like, it's just like, oh, yay, we beat the game.
Hooray!
It's so funny. And Leo Johnson is the one that smashes it at the end.
Right.
There are a couple other notes here.
Well, Andy, our boy Andy, gets fucking walloped in the head.
Yeah. And that's, I think, when he says Shelley Johnson. So I think that this is, our method is revealing that Andy will get killed by Shelley, obviously.
Yeah, that's a great read, I think.
This is also where they like say the one-eyed Jacks. I love Lucy being like, but there is no eye in Jack. Someone says, I think it means he only had one eye. But they do cross it off. Personally, I would have thrown it.
Can't hurt, right? If you're trusting the method, it's just gonna miss, worst case.
Yeah. I think that also maybe, what's Nadine's name on there? But I think just at one point, Hawk just calls Ed Big Ed Hurley, which is very funny to me. I don't know. Do you have any other notes on this bit?
Delightful. This feels like a very central scene, very definitive.
Yeah. I feel like this is definitely when we really start to get introduced to, like, I think this is when we're really seeing Dale emerge, His
perspective, his method. It's quite distinct from the, like, affable, kind of silly FBI agent that I just assumed him to be. He's got a whole other rich inner life. I want to say that at the start of this scene, I think just about everyone who was watching this transpire was kind of like, well, this is dumb. This isn't going to work. But because it is built up for so long and you're just waiting for the bottle to smash, and then the scene ends right when it does, I was fucking sold. I bought it completely. It totally succeeded in dispelling my doubts. Just the anticipation, sort of. So that's filmmaking, baby. Nicely done.
Yeah. Okay, I have a little note here that was in like the trivia for this episode. Kimmy Robertson, who plays the sheriff's office receptionist Lucy Moran, has described Lynch's directorial style as hypnotic, finding that his question and answer approach of discussing scenes with the cast was unique among directors she'd worked with. Robertson also noticed, and this is the really good bit to me, during the filming of Cooper's stone throwing, Lynch sat the cast down and told Kyle he was going to hit the bottle. Kyle hit it and everyone freaked out. It was like David used the power of the universe.
Oh my God.
So I guess when he hit it at the end there, that was like first take.
That's so sick.
I know, right?
In the same way that Lucy buys Dale's thing, like everyone just believed Dave's magic.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
so sweet. That's really cool.
Yeah, so this is, I think this was like another one of the scenes that I think really cements like the image of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shall we move on?
Let's.
So next up, we have a short Shelley scene. And actually, this is important because right at the beginning, we see that she is watching the intro to Invitation to Love. Do you have any thoughts on this little strange Invitation to Love sequence that we see?
I thought it was pretty funny. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's something along the lines of like, welcome back to Invitation to Love, where today someone will receive an invitation to love.
It's
like
so
they say
funny.
the name twice in one sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
I thought that was really like, this guy thinks TV's bad sometimes too.
Well, but then I don't know. I think there's definitely something going on here in terms of like that this show is very like, Twin Peaks is very like, hey, let's play with soap opera tropes, and then just putting a soap opera in it, with that is like, I don't know. We'll see if this comes back. Who knows? But it is like very highlighted at the beginning of this scene, which is also a very soap opera scene.
Yes.
Like so what happens is, Shelley has a thing of like anyone can get an invitation to love. She's like, oh yeah, right. Also, like, there's a photo of Leo on top of the TV, which is also kind of that's just there for her to look at it, but it is a crazy place for him to put a picture of himself
On top of the TV.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Bobby shows up and is like, oh, come on, I just saw Leo. We have at least 20 minutes. Sir, you're crazy. Are you trying to fucking get laid in 20 minutes and get out? You're insane. He sees...
Yeah, he's so reckless.
Yeah. He sees the bruises. He kind of barges in because Shelley wanted to hide them. Sorry. My next note I have here is just when he goes in, you see there's like a big fish. Like, we're really learning about Leo's like interior design priorities. Like, they have a whole room in their house that has no fucking wall, but they do have a big fish.
They do have a big fish.
Shelley's like, oh, he'll kill us both. He says, if he ever does this to you again, I'll kill him. So, okay, first off, come on. Yeah. If he ever beats you twice, then I'll kill him. What are you saying? Fuck off. And I hate how he kisses her. It's not good. Fuck off, Bobby.
I don't like the way he touches her face.
Yeah, it's
at all.
bad.
It's like he's her property. I guess I have heard of this happening, like abusive men.
I think you reversed that. You said he's her property.
Hot.
See, yeah. Women are
totally
allowed.
different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've heard of like angry and abusive men sort of being angry when other men are abusive because they're like, that's my job to be possessive of you, which we know he was of Laura.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like his heart is really not in the right place in wanting to protect her. And
yeah, truly.
If they do end up like openly together, I don't know how well I see that going.
But yeah, so I guess having that run through the scene, it feels very pointed, like having a intro to this soap opera, and then a very like soap operatic scene. The way like the show very like Twin Peaks very intentionally put that like little invitation to love before this scene. I don't know. It feels like this is signaling something about genre, about these conventions, about like engaging how like maybe signaling a way to engage with this plot line of, this scene of Shelley and Bobby as like
Huh.
being in line and very like toying with and leaning into these like soap opera conventions in a way, you know?
I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll keep keeping an eye on that.
We are keeping an eye on so many things. I think I'm out of eyes.
Just go Bloodborne mode and get some more on the inside.
Oh God, is that what Bloodborne has?
Oh, there's some, that is part of it. Anyway, we've already had our fucking Elden Ring minute. We can't go Bloodborne mode. But okay, next scene. We are at the Double R Diner. Where Audrey shows up. She plays her theme again, which is not only diegetic, but is like on the jukebox. And
Yeah.
okay, so I guess even before we get into the rest of it, the more that theme kept playing throughout the throughout the scene, the fact that it is a song that is like on the diner jukebox is crazy to me, because the theme is crazy. It's like this like strange jazz, and it's like got all the like it gets more and more discordant as it goes on. It's got all these little like toot 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 and like instruments like groaning and squealing. Like it's like that fucking, was it the John Mulaney bit of just going on and putting on, what fucking song was it that he put on a million times in his one bit?
I have no idea.
Oh god damn, hold on. John Mulaney jukebox. Fucking What's New Pussycat 21 times. But like I feel like, you know, this is a similar, like if you were in the Double R diner, like this like 50s 60s style diner, and someone walked in and, oh yeah, I know what I'm playing on the jukebox, and it's just like wow wow toot 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 toot, like you this is, it's crazy that this is an option to make everyone in the diner listen to.
You're getting thrown the hell out. Also, I am coming to understand why Shoo Shoo made a full album covering the soundtrack, because it already sounds like a Shoo Shoo early 2010s cut. Like they were making all this weird avant-garde jazz.
I did not know that Shoo Shoo did an album of covering the Twin Peaks soundtrack. That fucking rules, though. I should check that out.
Yeah, it's supposedly one of their best. I've been holding off on listening until watching the show.
That's so intriguing.
Yeah, that was their big comeback album.
Interesting. Huh. I really got to check that out. When was that?
16?
Oh, wow. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the actual scene itself, Audrey shows up, gets coffee, and Donna goes up to talk to her. And at first I did make a note of like Audrey Horne was at church, but I guess she does say she was there for Laura. And, you know, Donna's like, I thought you hated her, said there are some things that I didn't like about her, but she helped my brother Johnny, and like that means something to me.
Yeah.
I am sorry to say that I was going to say that the sexual tension between the two of them in that scene was kind of popping, but then it turns out that she's just Dale Maxing. has ordered a black coffee because Detective Cooper loves a black coffee and is just kind of sensually considering it.
That's so funny. Oh yeah, okay. So she is like swirling her finger around the rim of this coffee cup in a way that felt very hypnotic to me. Like she was just kind of staring into it blankly and doing the rim. It reminded me of, do you know those like singing bowls? They're sometimes called Buddha bowls.
Oh yeah.
Because I am certain that Davy is a fan of those. Hi, Mushroom.
I can hear her. What a lovely visitor.
Also reminded me of Get Out. You know, the teacup scene in Get Out?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that I feel like, and any teacup hypnosis is definitely, like, Get Out is the first thing that I thought of.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, even like the way that she sways, like she's a very hypnotic character, I feel like.
Yeah, she is. I have, for the entire run of the show so far, felt her to be like somewhere else.
Yes,
you know, like she
definitely.
has access to some sort of headspace or information that we don't have. And so I've always felt a distance from her. And this is the closest I've felt her get so far. It feels like she's being sincere, you know, even just like talking about Laura with some level of nuance, where before it seemed like she was just like a shit starter. This was like a very tender scene, at least like from where I stand now. And for the first time, I think the first time, it occurred to me that Donna and Audrey look very, very similar. Like same height, same complexion, same haircut, same hair color. Much more so than Donna and Laura, who I'm told Donna sort of becomes a Laura, or like, well, she's sort of replacing her in some way.
Well, you know, at the very least, like, they're, you know, when I say that, I don't mean like, you know, this is going to happen or this is the arc, but like in what we've seen so far, like this has definitely been the themes orbiting around her character that we've seen so far, you know?
Sure. It's interesting then that Donna and Audrey are the ones who look virtually identical.
Yeah. No, there is something, I don't know, and I think there's something about Laura's death is bringing Donna and James together, and Audrey is, I think part of also her feeling kind of like removed is that she isn't really connected to any of the other like teens plot lines at this point, you know, in the same way. Like she is kind of doing her own thing so far.
Totally.
But yeah, she also like gets all serious. She says like, did Laura ever talk about my father? And Donna is like, you know, seems confused and is like, no. And he says, you know, he used to sing to her. And then it kind of like drifts back. And I did make a note of, God, I love this music. Isn't it too dreamy? Which, I don't know, everything we're saying about Audrey being kind of connected to some other thing, just the use of dreamy specifically, given how dream heavy this episode is. I feel like there's something there. There's something going on there.
Totally.
I mean, even just thinking about, actually, now that I think about it, like this and the sequence at the end are like the 2 points where a character just kind of leaves a conversation by getting up and doing a little dance, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
And right after saying, like, I love this music, isn't it too dreamy? This feels intentional, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is not even really a place where one would dance, right? It's a diner. There's not a dance floor. People seem a little bit confused at what she's doing. She's in her own little place.
Yeah.
If I could call attention to one last thing about this dancing, the final shot of the scene like prominently calls attention to the floor of the diner, which is like red and white checkered.
Yeah, I was about to say just that, actually.
All right.
We're aligned.
All right. And then we cut right into the next scene, which has the sheriff and Dale Cooper examining a bloodied white rag. And oh man, that hit me. That hit me hard. That was, I mean, look, I'm sure it's right on the surface, right? Like I doubt people like miss this, but cool.
Well, no,
I love when there's
in fact
colors.
That's not the connection that I made, actually.
Oh.
So you, yeah. You know, you're seeing shit I'm not, because I was just thinking about how it feels kind of analogous to the like black and white kind of zigzag floor and the red carpet in the last scene. But I think it's doing both of these, definitely.
Yeah. Motifs.
My other note just also here is like she seems very concerned about the idea that Laura ever talked about Ben Horne. Like there seems like worried that there could have been some of Ben Horne's like predatoriness that we've seen maybe could have been affecting Laura. And like, yeah, he used to sing to her. Like she just walks off after that, but that's such a strange, like, what does that mean? Like,
Oh, I know.
I don't fucking know. Like, we know obviously that Renette was, you know, working at that perfume counter. Was Laura involved in that in some, but like, yeah, the singing to her is such a, I mean, it does, I guess, you know, again, kind of connect to at the end, you know, when the guy's like, you know, there's always music in the air or something. But yeah, it's,
Oh yeah.
because it feels ominous and it feels like she's worried about this, but it's, I don't know, it's just like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, funky scene. I don't know, do you want to lead us into the next one?
Rag scene. We get Cooper and Truman in the police station They're examining a new piece of evidence that has turned up, which is like a square white cloth rag with some like improbably red blood splotching in the middle. There are some dudes who show up in the lobby who just kind of give a real bad vibe. They kind of rudely speak to Lucy, asking her to get Dale like on the line. Turns out Dale has been expecting them, and sort of briefs Sheriff Truman on like what their deal is, which is essentially that they're like very good forensicists, but you know, a little bit difficult. They take their work very seriously, and they can be a little bit abrasive. Truman's not worried about it.
I love two things in that. I love Dale like doing his little finger snap and point when he's like, "Is Albert here?" And then at the end of this, when they're sitting there, Dale just gets his nose.
Yeah, it was so cute.
It was just like, what's happening? And Truman's like, ha ha ha. Like, it's just like such a crazy thing to throw in at the end of the scene. Is just like, got your nose. It's so funny.
I feel like it's maybe Cooper's way of being like, but don't worry, buddy, I'm on your side. I'm still friendly.
Yeah.
Because he knows what's about to come, which is that, well, Agent Albert is just like a colossal asshole. He just fucking sucks. He's like insulting the town. He's insulting the police work they do. He takes a look at the file, the file about Laura's death, and just goes like, wow, this is going to be a long night.
Yeah.
Implying that nothing they've done so far is valuable.
Yeah, fucking welcome to amateur hour.
Amateur hour, that's what it was. Oh.
I think this is definitely playing up the, like, they're just cashing in all these, like, character tropes left and right. And this one is very much like, you know, professional FBI agent shows up as, like, these fucking small town cops, you know?
Which I didn't think we were going to get, because we have the professional agent showing up and to this point has just been lovely.
I get the vibe, like, with all these characters that it's like, really, this is just about establishing this, like, cast of stock characters that you would get in this type of show to then be able to play with, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I have a couple notes in here, things that amused me. I love he says, I've seen some slipshod backwater bergs. His way of dissing Twin Peaks is very funny. I also love when he shows up. Lucy is just like reading a big book just labeled Tibet.
Yeah.
She's clearly been like, wow, Dale's really inspired me. I'm going to read about Tibet.
She's such a Dale ride or die. I mean, he's bringing so much enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love when he's like so rude to her. He's like spelling his name out, including just Albert. He turns around and she fucking sticks her tongue out at him for a second. It's so funny.
Yeah, so in the midst of this, like, insulting the slipshod backwater berg and such, as the forensics and his team are leaving, Harry Truman pulls Albert aside and goes basically like, I trust that you're good at your job, because if most people talk to me that way, what was it, Sadie? Do you remember?
I think he said they'd be looking for their teeth 2 blocks up on Queer Street.
Which is like, it's shaped like a sentence for sure.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like a turn of phrase, but what the hell?
I mean, I guess this is saying that he's punching you so hard that your teeth fly out 2 blocks up.
And you go gay.
And yeah, and you're on Queer Street. It's so funny. This is like, again, I feel like honestly there have been a lot of lines like this that we've highlighted, of lines that are just like in the shape of a like snappy TV dialogue turn of phrase that are just like a little bit off, or like really like play up the artificiality of it, you know?
Totally. It's a lot of fun.
Another note that I had just looking at the trivia is that the actor for Albert here, Miguel Ferrer, he met Lynch working on another project, and Lynch wanted to cast him as Albert, and he sent him the scripts for episode 1 and episode 2, but recall that these isn't the pilot. This is just like our current episode and the previous one. And Farrah found the scripts difficult to understand until Frost gave him a recording of pilot, which cleared up the confusion. Is so funny of David Lynch just being like not sending the pilot and just being like, I don't know.
That's so silly.
It's so funny.
I maintain that, well, really my biggest gripe with the show so far is like there's a pilot and there's an episode 1.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that is what tripped them up that time, but It's gotten me every time.
Mm-hmm. Give me $3, boy. Go to tstv.show. Give me $3 to get every episode 2 weeks early and special bonus episodes once a month where we talk about movies, boy. Do it. Do it. Enjoy the episode, boy. So yeah, we get our 2 blocks up on Queer Street, and then we move into arguably the most important scene of the episode, in which Ed comes home. Nadine's yelling at him. He's like, oh my God, what am I in for this time? But she gives him a bear hug. And
she like sprints at him to give him a bear hug.
And is delighted to announce that by tracking grease all over the house and getting grease on her cotton balls, it was those greasy balls that have... Listen, it was Ed's greasy balls that enabled her...
It was right there.
...to make her fucking completely silent drape runners. They're gonna be rich.
Hey, so I actually think my prediction for last episode came true.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I'm thrilled. It was like I was kind of mostly joking.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, who could say where they go from here? I do really stand Nadine. I'm so happy that she got her drapes doing what she wanted, you know? The bit of her just being like, do you hear that? No sound at all is like is so good.
Yeah, and then there's another hug sort of closing out the scene, I think, in which we focus on Ed's face, and we see that even in this moment of total joy and like gratitude from his wife, he's not getting anything positive out of it. He seems stressed out.
I mean, I think that this is definitely like Nadine is kind of being like, we love her, but I think she is definitely playing into the stock character of like either the naggy wife or the wife who, even when she loves you, is like just too much, you know? She's kind of yandere.
I don't know what that means. I see that all the time.
Oh my God. Okay, so yandere is like a trope of a type of anime character who is like so into you in a way that is overwhelming and is like, you can't talk to anyone else. Here, a fictional character who fits the archetype of being romantic, loving, kind, blah, 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 but at the same time brutal, psychotic, or deranged.
Oh, okay. If I can just like say, I don't understand why they're together. I don't understand why they're married to each other. I don't know, they seem like strangers who are really deeply attached, but only in the bad ways.
I mean, ain't that how straight marriages go sometimes, honestly?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this is like, again, I think this is setting up a like soap opera stock like character dynamic of like, oh, why are they still together? He should leave her for Norma, da-da-da. You know what I mean? I think this is all definitely like playing up to like set up this space, you know?
Oh, hey, speaking of Norma really quick, have we gotten any scenes with her as the focal point? I feel like she's a character who's just like there sometimes, but I don't know anything about her.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen her with Ed a couple times, and we've seen her with Shelley. I think she was kind of being a kind of like maternal kind of presence for Shelley. But it's true, no, she definitely, I mean, and again, I think this is certainly a type of like ways that TV shows treat women of like, sometimes you're there to be a mom for someone and sometimes you're there to be a love interest. But no, she definitely does not have, she's definitely existed so far, at least in relation to these other people.
That's just a bummer.
Yeah, well, hey, who could say? Maybe we'll...
Who could say? 3 seasons of this show.
Yeah. Speaking of soap opera nonsense, our next scene is some real soap opera nonsense at the lodge where Catherine and Pete and Josie all live together for some reason. Speaking of people that is like, why are you married? Pete and Catherine are just like exchanging snipes at each other. The scene opens with Catherine being like, "Oh, it smells like fish. Everything smells like fish." And he goes, "Well, you could wash your socks separately." Damn, really hitting her with the "your feet smell like fish."
Ice cold.
Yeah, they exchange a couple of these. She walks into the other room, and she takes this advantage to secret away a key to Josie, who is waiting at the door for reasons that are not entirely clear as of yet. I do really love, he whispers like, "Oh, the ledger's in there." And this is very like Pete's kind of like small town guy charm, is that he takes the time in this like secret thing for her to be like, "Thank you." And he goes, "You betcha." Like, he will exchange pleasantries even while performing some secret shenanigans here.
Well, look, it's a small town. Gotta be friendly. I do like he and Josie's dynamic.
Tell me more.
Oh, I don't know. They just seem to like and respect each other, you know? Yeah, I also just like them both a lot as characters, so I'm hoping to see more. That, I think it's really funny, and like, they didn't have to make the fish in the percolator thing like get a callback in this episode.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a weird one-off joke.
And she is so not interested in it.
But he's like speculating about how the fish could have gotten into his percolator. This is just another one of the many mysteries, in the small town of Twin Peaks.
True. And, Catherine hits him with the "go to your room" because he's polishing his boots or whatever, which, okay, one, I guess they are married, but just sleeping in separate rooms. And also, I did just write down, "Okay, mommy, go off." And here, want to tell us, as Josie gets into this safe, what she finds?
Oh, yeah. So it seems like Josie like pulls back some sort of like illusory bookshelf from the wall to reveal a safe behind it. She uses the key that Pete just gave her to get in there, and there are precisely two things. It is like two identical ledgers. She seems surprised that there are two of them, and I don't know what that could mean. Maybe one is like the fraud one and one is the real one.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
If I could ask really quick, Blue Pine Lodge, this is the same place that Ben and Audrey's family live, right?
No, that is the Great Northern Hotel is where they live.
Oh, gotcha. So we got multiple characters living in multiple hotels.
No, I think this one isn't a hotel. I think it's just like a lodge isn't just like a big house. Like, I think this was the lodge owned by the deceased Martel. Like, I think this is like, you own the mill, you live in a big fancy lodge type thing.
Yes. Thank you.
And actually, here, want to tell us about our next scene in the Palmer household?
Oh dear. Yeah, I do. So we get Leland in his house, Leland Palmer, putting on a record, which I guess I would describe as like old pre-Miles Davis jazz, like kind of 30s.
Tell me more. Question mark?
Yeah. He walks over to pick up the famous photo of Laura, the prom, or like the graduation year photo where she's like grinning. And at first it's just sad, but it gets disquieting. He picks it up and he's sort of turning around with it as if he and Laura are dancing with each other. And he starts turning faster and faster, and oh yeah, the phone is ringing. It's, oh man, what do I have in my notes for this? I have no idea what to make of this scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I know, like, even before he plays the record, he's kind of like snapping his fingers. It feels very like compulsive.
Oh yeah, snapping his fingers to the rhythm of the song before the song is actually on.
Oh, I didn't actually I didn't notice that, but yeah. And, they break the frame of it, and he's kind of like rubbing his blood on Laura's picture. And Sarah is like freaking out and just says, "What is going on in this house?" You mentioned the phone, which I actually like made a note of because it rings exactly as he's reaching for Laura's photo. And
right,
this is kind of just more Sadie like constructing this kind of, might just be like my own little internal house of cards, but like in the pilot, you know, we saw the phone. There was like that shot, like really zooming in on the phone and on the phone cord with Sarah sobbing. That segued into the wind in the trees, and we know that there's spirits in the there's spirits in the woods or in the wood, and like the electricity sound and the wind sound were kind of being compared to each other. And all this makes me feel like there's something, because neither of them address or pick up the phone, which obviously they could just both be freaking out. And then there was also like a pointed phone call during, I think, when Sarah Palmer was being asked questions by the police. So there's like a lot going on here. Anyway, just like it seems very pointed that like with all this behind the scenes like imagery being set up, that when he reaches for Laura's photo, that's when the phone rings.
Right.
And that tells me, like, is there some kind of like spiritual communication going on there in that moment? Is this saying like the spirits that are moving through the woods and also through these lines of the phone or the electricity or something? Is there like, is something passing between Laura or Laura's spirit and Leland?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really, this is just like, I don't know that this is, you know, Twin Peaks is very just like throw stuff at you and make what you will of it. And I'm just kind of, I don't think this is a definite like puzzle box answer to any of this, but at the very least, it keeps throwing this like stuff at us of like, let's think about electricity.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff going on there. And like the fact that this has been highlighted with the phone before when he reaches for the photo really, I don't know. It seems like there's something almost as if like this is a moment of him communing with Laura's ghost or something, like that there's a call, a spiritual call. I don't know. There's a lot going on, but it feels like that's something's going on there, you know?
No, I feel like there must be something there. And I also want to call back to the previous episode where I had mentioned that it was feeling weird to me how often they were referring to that home video that James made of Laura, and how it felt like that was her like representation in this world. It's like as if that is like where her soul is being stored in this video cassette.
Yeah, like she was trapped in it almost, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Because the use of like technology in this show is very purposeful. It's in the 90s, but I mean, well, first of all, I wasn't alive when this came out. I don't know how techy things were. We haven't seen like really a computer, but people are not routinely calling each other on their phone. We have seen a few phone calls for pivotal moments, but most often it has been stuff like this.
Well, but I guess like, you know, like we've seen Dale call Hawk at the beginning. I mean, honestly, even now that I'm saying this and just thinking about like technology to record your voice, you know, there's the big thing of Dale, you know, like recording his memos for Diane, which,
oh yeah,
I mean, one, like all the things that he's saying, like we remarked on, are things that are like, what is your FBI assistant going to do about you? You know, like I need this type of hotel room or whatever, you know, but I don't know, because Diane, he keeps talking to her. We haven't seen her. She doesn't seem to exert any influence. I don't know. It seems like there is something going on maybe there too about like talking to someone that isn't there.
Right.
Like Diane is kind of playing the role of like a prayer ritual, like a spiritual, just kind of speaking this into the void, you know, like it's being recorded, but what is he doing? Is he fucking like mailing his recordings to Diane? Like it's, I don't know.
Oh shit, that's so interesting. We didn't see any of that in this episode, actually. I don't think he picked up the recorder once.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to think about. So, I mean, listen, do you have any more notes on that, or shall we get into the big kahuna?
Oh, let's kahuna it.
Okay, I mean, my first note here is just fuck yeah. So, do you remember, I think I showed you this scene also. When
You did.
Yeah, because this scene was actually filmed for what we talked about. It was like created from scratch for the European release of the pilot episode. The one that was like released as like a straight to home movie thing in Europe in case the TV show wasn't picked up.
Uh-huh.
And so this, I think, was just at the end of that. So like if if Twin Peaks the TV show wasn't made, then like Twin Peaks Northwest Passage, the pilot episode turned movie, would have just ended with this scene, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, once again, we have some classic David Lynch like intuitive improvisation elements that he just said he was so pleased with the scene that he just put it into the normal series. Like this was not planned to be here. He says he claimed to have conceived most of the sequence while leaning against his car on a cold night while its chassis was hot and free associating ideas, which is, again, very, very this kind of, David Lynch coming to ideas in the same way that Dale has come to like his investigative process, you know?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
And also in the way that the log lady talks about in the intro, you know?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to picture this final scene as fitting into the pilot, and it seems like it wouldn't be very satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. To end this like standalone piece of fiction with like, oh, I know who killed her, because we barely got any hints on who killed her in that episode. It was really pure setup.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad we got it now, but also learning that this was not really intended to be here, that this was maybe like an impulsive or last minute addition, makes is a little disappointing also, because that makes me think we're not just gonna get right into the meat of it in the next episode, you know?
Well, I don't know what the production order was. Like I know that they're saying the thing about the pilot being released in Europe was like part of them picking up the show. So I think it's likely that this was filmed before they actually would have filmed this episode, you know?
Oh, sure. So they maybe knew it was going to be in here before episode 4 was made.
I think that is probably the case. I think that is yes.
This makes sense. Okay, that's all I got for the moment.
Okay. So there's a lot. I think like do you have kind of we can go through my notes. Do you have like notes on this as a whole? Do you just want to go through kind of like bit by bit? How do you want to take this?
Well, I guess we should give the quick summary up front, because we haven't really said what the scene is yet.
That's true. We've been saying a lot. So this is a big Dale dream sequence. Kind of first we see him in a chair in this strange room with red curtains and this black zigzaggy floor. Fade to 2 speeches by 2 mysterious figures that we've seen before. One identifies himself as Mike and the other one as Bob. They give some weird speeches, and then we go back to Cooper in the main room, in this strange room, and he sees a little guy and Laura Palmer, ? And they both say some weird shit to him, and then the guy does a dance. Big picture summary.
Big picture summary.
I think there's a lot of details to get into in here, but I don't know. Do you want to like jump into details first, or do you just what are your, how did this hit for you just as a whole?
Oh man. So just on a pure like, because okay, I watched this episode this morning, right? So I watched this a few hours ago. On a pure like experiential level, I thought it was killer. I thought it was fantastic. Like a dream, which it is, I am struggling to sort of put it into rational terms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what is up with Bob, who now we know that his name is Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah, but the Red Room shit owned for sure. The dancing was incredible. The backward stuff. Oh yeah. This is the episode that made me think I need to start watching these episodes twice, because this is a lot to chew on.
Yeah, it's funny. I definitely like I the scene started and I just wrote fuck yeah, and I just stopped taking notes and just let it wash over me. And then I did watch it again to kind of take some notes and like look through it more closely. Because this scene especially, I think, really invites that. So I mean, yeah, I guess like going in, like really digging into it. When we first see Dale sitting in this strange room, which people call the Red Room, and I'll just call it that, so I don't have to be like this strange room. I love that he has. Do you notice he has like the like fucking like Star Trek ass you're old now effect of just like there's just a bunch of like glue on his face.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not it's not bad, to be honest. I've seen worse. It's not convincing. I doubt it's meant to be.
I mean, I don't think it's I think, yeah, that's the thing. I think like even just thinking about like the like Laura's face over Donna in the last episode, I think this is the kind of special effect that is, or not a special effect, like practical effect that is like just about communicating an idea and also like looks like that on purpose. So Mike, who we have seen, this is the one-armed man. Oh yeah, who I forgot to mention earlier, but Hawk did say that he saw this one-armed man in the hospital, and at that point Dale was like, really? Huh? He's like very
Did you interrogate him?
Yeah, he was very
like he was instantly suspicious.
And so now we are hearing from this man. So before he gets into his speech, actually, this is really interesting. I noticed there was like the distorted voice calling like Laura. That was like Sarah Palmer from the pilot. And there's this like, yeah. And then we see her like running on the stairs from that crazy angle that we had mentioned. And before the speeches, there's this flash of images, which is Sarah on the stairs. And between it, there's all these like flashing lights that will definitely put a like content warning of like strobe lights for this episode. And the other images that I kind of paused through to double check, we see Bob kneeling at the bed, which was the kind of vision that made Sarah scream.
Right.
Last episode. And then there's a shot of like the bloody cloth, which I believe is the cloth that they found in this episode. And it seems to be in the train car next to what looks like Laura's body wrapped in plastic. And then we see Laura's corpse as it is found. So we flash through all those.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't catch half of that, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, it really all goes. And then here, I'll just screen share this and let's just watch this, shall we?
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, we get these flash of all these images, and then we get these speeches.
Through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds. Fire, walk with me. We lived among the people. I think you say convenience store. We lived above it. I mean it like it is, like it sounds. I, too, have been touched by the devilish one. Tattoo on the left shoulder. Oh, but when I saw the face of God, I was changed. I took the entire arm off. My name is Mike. His name is Bob.
Mike? Mike? Can you hear me? Catch you with my death bag. You may think I've gone insane, but I promise I will kill again.
So yeah, we get those like almost poem-like speeches from them. And actually I paused right on it here that we have this image of, well, I don't know, Lily, want to describe this image that it pauses on?
I so want to describe this image. It is a circle of white candles with what looks to me like coffee grounds in the middle. My note was that looks exactly like the coffee that Audrey was drinking in the diner.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh my God. And like the black, wow. Oh no, you're right. I was like, it's like a mound of dirt. But yeah, it is one. It does look like coffee grounds. And also the way that it's surrounded by the candles is like totally white cup with the black coffee in it.
Hell yeah.
No, that's for real. I think that that's like a very genuine connection that you're making. I would not have caught that.
Woo!
Is there anything else? I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about this image? Because this is unlike the other ones. I don't think this is an image that we've seen before now.
No, this is new, and I'm yet to understand what it means. I mean, other than obviously like, you know, the coffee cup in the scene earlier was like a symbol of Dale. It was like Dale's sort of presence in that scene. So this tells me maybe that it is like all this perception is being mediated through Dale, and it's not as simple as like things being revealed to him. He's also in play somehow, you know?
Yeah. Also, the other thing that I see, no, that's all really good. There's like something in the middle of this mound of like dirt or coffee grounds. Are you able to make out what it is?
Not at all.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out.
Enhance.
Yeah, and so both of those speeches, this is definitely like Mike's thing here. Fire Walk with Me, we remember, is what was written on the it was like written in blood on a piece of paper in the train car, right? Where that was like the scene of the crime. It's so interesting because we saw this guy earlier and he just seemed to be like a guy who was walking around, and like the way he talks here, I mean, there's a lot going on. Even his, like, I think you say convenience store, like it's so, he seems like either he's speaking another language or, you know, like, I don't know. Do you have anything to say about this guy?
His presence is a lot like Orson Welles to me.
Oh, that's really funny. It is kind of Orson Welles.
And you know, in the last episode, there was a guy who I said was like really giving Rod Serling. I feel like these are on purpose, or at least like David Lynch would be familiar with them. You know?
Yeah. No. Definitely.
So the line, I think you say convenience store. We lived above it. I mean it like it is, like it sounds. How it sounds is interesting. I don't know how that is telling me to interpret this, but we lived above it could definitely be read in a few ways. Like, is that we lived above it, like we were above the convenience store in some like moral sense, or like they were above the earthly plane. Are they above being convenienced? I don't know.
These are the spirits of inconvenience. But yeah, no, I mean, I mentioned it earlier because I feel like, yeah, I mean it like it is, like it sounds is really interesting. Oh, and also, with all those flashes that we had, the like sound effect that plays through them is a kind of like electrical, like sound.
Oh yeah.
Which, again, just the way that it keeps evoking the sound of electricity feels very pointed. But yeah, I mean, even just thinking about, like, I mean it like it is, like it sounds, does that have something to say about, like, through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds, fire walk with me? I don't know. This is all, I'm just doing the thing where I'm like, I don't know, Lily. What do you think? But which is obviously putting you on the hot seat, but like, I don't know. Are you having anything of like the chance out between two worlds, like the magician? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I got nothing for that bit, I'm afraid. I know that fire walk with me becomes a very important phrase in some way, at least. I mean, I assume considering the movie is called that. So I sure hope all will be revealed. I don't know what that means at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic, like, I have to think about how much to say. This is not really the type of show where there's like, oh my God, this is what that means. It all makes sense now, but here's something that jumps out to me is like through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see. I'm thinking about way back with the log lady intro.
Mm-hmm.
All that we see in this world is based on someone's ideas, which certainly feels like a shout out to, like, you know, David Lynch himself, or like the people that are making the show. And
Yeah.
there certainly seems to be, like, in terms of chanting out between two worlds, I think there's something there about, I mean, it seems like there's a kind of a spirit world thing going on, question mark. Would you agree?
Most definitely.
Is there something here about the world of the television show and our world, or even like that there was kind of the show in a show of the fucking Invitation to Love? Like, I guess I'm saying, like, in terms of, we started this episode with the intro, at least. It's not really in the episode proper, but like with Margaret Lanterman talking to the camera in a kind of metafictional way that really seemed to be referencing, you know, the show's existence as a show, and did say everything in this world. Is there maybe something similar going on here with, like, chanting out between two worlds? This is like stuff that's striking me here, but this is also like not original Sadie analysis. This is like certainly like I'm showing my, like, woman who has engaged with like Twin Peaks theory culture, you know? And like, everything that I'm saying here, this is all just like, as much, like, I really don't want to lock you in on like, this is the definitive interpretation of any of this stuff. I'm just riffing here as much as you are, you know?
No, sure. I'm thinking about like the two worlds. I guess like it could be like the earthly world versus the more like internal or intangible world, or it could be like the living versus the dead. I don't know. But kind of thinking about that in that context, like fire walk with me. Fuck, man. I don't know what like fire represents. Fire can be a symbol for life, right? Or, you know, destruction. So it feels like,
I mean, I'm even like fire in terms of like, again, we've had so much electricity stuff. There's certainly something there, right? About like electricity as kind of like a captured fire or something.
walking with you even.
Yeah. God, you know, actually, you know, I'm thinking about Inland Empire, which, remember, there's like a magician kind of character in that movie. The like sinister Polish magician guy that we're told was like able to like wiggle his fingers and make people do as he pleased. Do you remember what I'm talking about, kind of?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And like when I was watching that, I was definitely like, oh, that feels like a metaphor for a movie director, you know? With the like two worlds that like the previous time we've seen world used is like the log lady talking about how everything in this world comes from someone's idea. I think there's something going on there.
So the two worlds could be like the real and the fictional.
Yeah, I think possibly, you know, like I don't know. I think that like it could be the world of Twin Peaks and the world of the people watching it. It could be, I don't know. There's really a lot. I mean, even thinking about like Twin Peaks is definitely a town of two worlds, so to speak, in that there's like, you know, there's so much about the kind of like pretty nice, happy face of Twin Peaks and the darker world underneath, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Fire Walk with Me. It's pretty crazy. So then we do see Bob, who is kind of replying to Mike. And I know last episode I was saying like that, you know, the Bozo boys' names are Bobby and Mike, who here I just started calling him Snake because now we have Mike and Bob, who is credited as Killer Bob.
Killer Bob.
Who says, Mike, yeah, can you hear me? And then actually I really find this bit kind of funny. His speech is like kind of campy. He says, "They'll catch you with my death bag. You may think I've gone insane, but I promise I will kill again." It's like, you know, like there's something like kind of a little bit corny about it almost, you know, like it's,
well, what the fuck is a death bag?
That is certainly one part of it, but also just like his delivery And also, I think that he's in like a little denim vest. He is dressed like a gay man in the 90s in this. I don't know. Like he was so menacing looking in some of those other like flashbacks, but there's something about him here that just feels like so campy to me, you know?
Huh.
You may think I've gone insane, you know? Like it's I think it's also like we're really not very clear about who these two characters are. We know at least that one of them, like Mike, we've seen in the real world doing things.
Right.
And Bob, Sarah Palmer has seen in some sort of visions. Give me your best shot of what these people that we will meet. Are they like human characters in the show? Are they entities? Are they just in the dream? You tell me.
So it's interesting that Bob and Mike are not in the same room in this. Bob is calling out to Mike from like, I don't know if it's sort of unclear whether
It looks like a boiler
just like
room.
into the beyond or if he's like below him or something. I wonder if there are maybe different kinds of entity that like I guess are working together. I'm really not clear on their relationship, but I don't think Bob is like a physical human being. I think he appears and honestly, so my thing is like I've never really felt menaced by him, to be honest. Like I've been startled by his presence, but him specifically, when we see him, I'm like, oh, there's some guy, which is not a good or a bad thing. I think it's interesting because they definitely seem, you know, evil, but Mike says that he's been changed by seeing the face of God.
Yeah. Which is also kind of crazy, yeah.
Christ almighty. This has given me so much to chew on. I guess, like, as of now, my gut feeling is, yeah, Mike is some sort of superhuman entity, and Bob is maybe his, like, henchman or, like, an apparition that he conjures.
So I guess honestly my reason for asking this is that like if this is some kind of like supernatural entity, I think him saying you may think I've gone insane is like is kind of silly to me, and part of what I think gives it this realm of camp. Like he's talking as if he's like a like Criminal Minds killer of the week, you know?
Yeah, as if like an evil spirit can have mental health.
Yeah, exactly. From the speeches, we go back to the Red Room, and there's so much in that. Like, so Dale's in a chair. To his left, Laura Palmer, ? And a little guy.
A short man
short-
in I believe, an all red suit.
Yeah,
right?
an all red suit. And then like behind them is this statue and these two lamps that are like so like IKEA-y almost, you know? I don't know. And also I like on Dale's next to him, there's like, is it like a globe? There's like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a little lamp or if it's like there's like a globe looking thing, you know?
Yeah, globular or something. I took it as a lamp.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, also the floor pattern is very distinctive.
Yes.
And maybe my favorite thing about the room, it's like these black, red, and white chevrons
Yeah.
or zigzags.
And so we fade back in. The guy is like rubbing his hands, and all the audio from him, who I think is credited as the man from another place, and from Laura Palmer ? Is reversed. This is like I think maybe the most famous Twin Peaks trick. Like had the actors say their lines backwards, like just phonetically, and then reverse the audio. So they're talking like this.
That was really good.
Oh yeah, I've got a good one. Can I play games on your phone? You know?
Oh my God, look at you go.
I know. I've been workshopping it. That's what all the audio, but that includes the audio of him rubbing his hands together. Also, is reversed in this way. And he then stops it and goes, "Let's rock." We then see like this Laura Palmer like puts her finger to her nose in this strange way. I think this is again while he's like rubbing his hands together, and there's this like weird, like high pitched, again, kind of like synth electrical sound, this like resonating whine, which is very interesting. And there's like a shadow that passes on the curtain behind them. I don't know if that is a bird, like just a strange, like diamond shadow, very funky.
It read as like humanoid to me, but it was not moving in a way that a human would.
Yeah.
It was like if a person was standing on,
I
don't know, like a person was floating and like a flashlight was like shone like over them side to side. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Also, I still have open in the screen share. I was looking at like what are the pins on Dale's jacket because it has these weird pins. And doesn't that kind of look like a flame, like a candle or something?
Oh, it so does. So Dale is not in he's in like a variation on his signature getup. He's wearing this like this weird fucking tie.
Yeah.
That looks like, well, that combined with the pins, he looks like an old guy who'd be at some sort of like organization for 20 years, like a Rotary Club or whatever.
Yeah. But the pin, I saw that and it was a flame because this is a little bit fire walk with me ?
Absolutely it is. Wow, good catch.
And is that it, like it's really hard to tell, but it might be like a little dove pin there too.
Oh, I thought it might be a crown.
It's really hard to say. But if it is but that I don't know, maybe this is bird again, So the man from another place tells Dale that he has good news for him, that the gum he likes is going to come back in style. Then referring to the woman next to him says, "She's my cousin, but doesn't she look almost exactly like Laura Palmer?" And Dale, talking fully normally, is like, "But it is Laura Palmer. Are you Laura Palmer?" And her reply to that is like, so I think it's like
chilling.
It's like, yeah, he says, "I feel like I know her, but sometimes my arms bend back." Ooh.
Oh my God.
And like her delivery, like her face looks so pained,
Yeah. Oh fuck. And that is a moment where, because this backwards trick, it calls attention to itself, right? They are not pronouncing things perfectly. They're pausing in places that don't make sense. Here, she is very clearly moving backwards while talking about her arms bending back. And it looks like something a human body shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah. I mean, even just like the arms bent back feels so like, that is not a way that arms can usually bend,
Yeah, fuck. It's like I see that you have a question in here for me. Is that Laura Palmer? We can hold on that if you want, but.
Well, I don't know. Tell me what you think.
Well, I think that it is, I expect we'll get some real wisdom or insight from this character. Whether or not it's something I will be able to parse literally, I think Dale will know what to do with it. But I think it is a representation of Laura Palmer as much as people's memories of Laura Palmer or the video of Laura. All of them are like abstractions. They're not her, but there can still be valuable like insight to glean there. So I feel like this is well, yes, first of all, maybe Dale's like weird fantasy of Laura. She seems aged up, she's dressed in like a gown with red lipstick. This is not the Laura Palmer we know for sure. Oh, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I feel like I know her. It's not an answer to are you her? It's like, it's almost like this version is trying to be Laura, but because it exists in this different place, it's just not quite right. Like it's an imperfect copy,
Like a doppelganger, like kind of thing.
Yeah, or like a clone where like some mutations have happened.
Okay, yeah. I mean, No, that's like, I think that's sorry, I started a sentence and I was like, how much am I going to say? I think that is a very interesting take. And I think, like, I don't know, because I think the other reason why I like had put that down is like, how much is this a dream from Dale's subconscious versus how much is this spirits are talking to Dale,
Right. Oh, interesting.
Where were you landing on that?
I think I've got to say it's a bit of both. I think
Yeah.
there is some genuine revelation happening, but as we saw with like the candles being blown out thing, I think it is being mediated through his own like biases and desires.
Yeah.
The fact that Laura kisses him, is like that complicates my feelings.
No, I really agree. I think that is like, I don't know, it's so anyway, I guess like to just keep like to get to there, she says that the man from another place says she's filled with secrets. Where we're from, the birds sing a pretty song and there's always music in the air. Music begins playing. He starts doing a little dance. I noticed there's kind of like I don't know if it's actually literally someone snapping their fingers or like a percussion instrument, but seeing how we
Yeah.
talked about how Leland earlier was snapping his fingers to the song. I don't know, just finger snapping. I guess Dale also at the beginning of the episode did his like snap.
Right.
Is that Albert, I don't know.
Can I also mention, he says the birds sing a pretty song and there's always music in the air. I can't help but think of Audrey.
Yes.
How her intuition for like the music is just like with her and connected to her. And she seems to have access to this like different, if not a different plane, at least a different way of being.
Yeah.
She is a little detached. She's a little somewhere else where there is always music in the air.
And she does just kind of bring it with her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like that crazy toot toot song is only on the jukebox. Like metafictionally, like that is only on the jukebox because she goes in and hits play so that Audrey's theme can be playing during her scene,
Totally.
But like it does feel like similarly as if she just like evokes it wherever she goes,
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, while the music plays, the man from another place does a dance, which I think was also filmed backwards now that I think about it, which is crazy. And then yeah, Laura goes up to kiss Dale, kisses him and then whispers in his ear. And it's so like the kiss is like so seductive, but the fact that it's seductive feels so ominous,
Yeah, and it's not like simply so like the show wants us to notice that this is weird, right? Like there's this like strobe kind of flashing in their faces.
Yes.
Which like God knows what that is. I thought of like a camera flash above all.
Yeah. Well, and like how like, she kisses him and then like pulls back and then they both kind of like have a little smile, and then as she goes to whisper in his ear, his face settles completely to just like expressionless as he's listening to the whisper, like it's as if he's like activated to perform this kiss and then is like turned back off, It's so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't it wild? Because like earlier on, he's talking about like he's using his subconscious to find intuition with throwing the rocks, and like it feels like there is something here where like he's accessing his subconscious, and again this is very David Lynch transcendental meditation, like in doing so is accessing this kind of like deeper spiritual truth, but that this is still like there really does feel like there's something being filtered through him in all this, and especially like Laura kissing him, given I don't know, like obviously he's here to fucking like investigate her death. It's like really loaded.
Yeah.
And it's like really interesting to me for how loaded it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so tell us as he wakes up.
Yeah, he wakes up sort of shocked somewhat, and he reaches over and picks up his phone and he calls up Harry and tells Harry, I know who killed Laura Palmer.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that is what Laura has told him in his dream.
Yeah.
And that, like, that's basically the end. But there is this very funny thing, which is like, Dale says, meet me at 7 a.m. for breakfast. And Harry, you're meant to understand, says like, well, we should meet right now. It can't wait. And Dale says, yes, it can.
Yeah, it can wait until morning is so funny. I also love like his hair is like he has the craziest like gelled bedhead as he wakes up, like shooting off all at the one side.
Yeah.
And he snaps back to the song as he dozes back to sleep, and that's the end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode.
What a crazy end to an episode.
Holy shit. What a cliffhanger.
Yeah. And also just like, again, to have spent, like 2 episodes, the pilot and the first one, in relatively normal or like grounded, like, there were moments, we had some weird visions and flashes, but like relatively grounded Twin Peaks land. And then this shows up. It's just like, I don't know, deal with it,
No, you're totally right. This is the biggest break from like typical reality that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
Speaking of dreams, were you able to give yourself any?
Well, oh yeah. So welcome back to Lily's Nightmare
Of
Corner, where I
course.
try to give myself a Twin Peaks dream
Yeah.
every night, or like at least once a week. I watched the episode this morning, so no
Yeah.
dice, no luck.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Last night, the dream I had was that my neighbor came by to give me some food, and I woke up still believing this in the middle of the night.
No.
So I was just scrambling around my room in real life to find pants so I could go accept
Oh my god, that's so funny.
the bowl of mushrooms that my neighbor was going to give me.
That's really, really funny. All right, well, next up, Lily, what are your power rankings? Who do you think has killed Laura Palmer? Do we want to do like a top 3?
Top 3, sure. Well, Mike was in the hospital. Bob is very suspect and seems to be haunting Sarah Palmer.
I should have written down, but I didn't write down what the power rankings were last episode. But do you remember? I think it was like... Oh, wait, I remember. You said that the log killed Laura was wielded by someone. What's your stance on the log right now?
We didn't see any log stuff this episode, so I feel like log is in the same place. I don't want to forget about the log just because she didn't have much to say this time.
Uh-huh.
Log is steady. I'm gonna put Mike and Bob tied. Let's say for second.
Okay. He sure is Killer Bob and says he will kill again.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them. And beyond that, this is a serious suggestion. I'm having the creeping suspicion that the full story is going to be complex enough that we cannot say X killed Laura Palmer. I think the town of Twin Peaks killed Laura Palmer. And I'm sure someone like physically took her life, but it might as well be anyone.
So our top 3 are Log, Mike and Bob in 2, and the town of Twin Peaks as a whole in 3. I love it.
Excellent.
I love it. And Lily, tell me what happens next time on Twin Peaks.
Yeah, sure. You know what? I think we get some more Shelley and Bobby stuff. I think he tries to convince her to leave the dude, or really, I think maybe Leo continues to be violent and Bobby plans a retaliation, especially considering he's not going to be able to come up with that money. Oh, you know what? Maybe we just see him trying and failing to come up with the money. That's also possible.
Sorry, what's his get rich quick scheme?
His get rich quick scheme is rob the diner of all the pastries and then bring them up to Canada.
Oh, of course. As we all know, the pastries are illegal to sell in Canada, so the black market is thirsty for them.
And I am also gonna bet that is it Josie Packard? Is that her name?
Yes.
I'm gonna bet that she comes to the police with some evidence of wrongdoing involving the ledgers. And that's all I'll predict, I think.
You have no predictions to make about Dale knows who killed Laura Palmer?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a non-starter. We're way too early in the show for that to be true.
No? All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I think that just about wraps up TSTV.
All right.
This is a great episode. I love that ending so much.
Yeah, this was excellent. This is, oh man, it's digging deeper into me every time. So thank you for guiding me through this once again. It has been a treat. I'm already looking forward to reconvening.
Yeah, I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye. TSTV is hosted by Sadie Avery Lake and yours truly, Lily Alexandre. Our music is by Jamie Page. The art is by Mya Fernandes-Giles. This episode was edited by me. If you want to get in touch with us, please email us at hellotstv@gmail.com. We may include your mail on a future episode of the show. Let us know if that's okay. If you want to support the show and gain access to our monthly bonus episodes, head over to tstv.show. See you next time.
Episode 3, Rest in Pain content warnings. Again, some like broadly being fetishistic about it's indigenous people, not in a massive way, but it's on screen, it happens. Some more talking about the body and the autopsy and like some rather grisly details from autopsy report in a way that, again, I would say haunted by the specter of sexual violence, but like on the scale of how intense the show gets about it, I would say like a 2 or a 3 at most, but it's there. Be advised.